today making something so delicious and nutritious. It's called mushroom and greens with cinnamon, cumin, and coriander.
Hi everybody, I'm Eydie and welcome to Garden of Eydie. I reverse my super high blood pressure eating garden food. No pills, just plants, and you can too. So join me in my garden and join me in my kitchen, and we will show you all sorts of fabulous, delicious, healthy recipes that will heal whatever ails you.
Now at Garden of Eydie, I develop most of my recipes, but sometimes I'll find something on the internet that has 1,200 5-star reviews and it looks really healthy, but I like to make it healthier. This one is Melissa Clark from the New York Times. You can see a recipe and take out the things that aren't health promoting. For example, with this delicious recipe, it calls for sauteing the shallots and the mushrooms in butter, yum, or oil. And I say, why use the butter or the oil? We don't need the dairy. That's not good for our skin. In oil, well, it's 4,000 calories a pound. Why add oil when you don't need to? And still, you will have the most delicious taste. So just to quickly go through the ingredients, there's 2 teaspoons of thyme, there's 1.5 teaspoons of ground cumin. By the way, it's really good to get the cumin seeds and grind them right before you use them because they're super fresh that way. And then we have 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, a very tiny pinch of allspice, a teaspoon of black pepper, and we have some coriander, 1 teaspoon of coriander. We're gonna saute the shallots and the mushrooms, and then we're gonna add some tomato paste. This is 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. And then we're gonna add all the other ingredients and we're gonna saute them and make them really, really sing together. And then we'll add the water. It just calls for water, not even vegetable stock. But feel free to use vegetable stock because that just adds a little bit more flavor. First, I want to show you how to dry saute. You heat up a pot over medium-high heat. While this is heating up, I have to tell you the benefits of mushrooms. It is truly a magical ingredient. First of all, they're delicious because they got that umami flavor, you know, kind of like that meaty texture and flavor, but so much healthier. And also, mushrooms are the source of food that has vitamin D. A tiny bit, but hey, why not? It also is such a good source of fiber and protein and carbohydrates, and it mitigates the risk of Alzheimer's, cardiovascular disease, cancer, and diabetes. So why not give mushroom a chance? And the other thing about mushrooms is they need to be cooked. They have agarotine in it, which is a little toxic. I've been eating raw mushrooms for a long time and nothing's happened to me, but they say it's so much more nutritious when you cook it. So cook your mushrooms. Now I think this pan is ready. What do you think? Yes, so we're gonna take half of the shallots and half of the mushrooms. Now you're saying, how are we gonna caramelize it without oil or butter? Okay, now here's the Garden of Eydie trick. I cover the pan. What happens when you cover the pan, the vegetables release their own oils and their own water. Onions have their own oils in it. Why add oil when the onions provide it naturally? So we're gonna let this steam together and we're gonna leave this on for a couple of minutes. And what's gonna happen, the mushrooms are gonna give off their juices, the onions are gonna give off their onions and their juices, and it's gonna start to caramelize. Okay, it's been about a minute. You can see there's some browning at the bottom of this pot. No problem, but see how they're starting to melt? No oil, no butter, and we're getting some of that fond, as they call it in culinary school, that delicious burnt on or caramelized, not burnt on, you do not want it to burn, part of the vegetables. And then when you put in the liquid, you scrape it all up and it just infuses the entire soup. So good. I'm just gonna put it in this pot for now. And now we're ready for the second half. And look how much they cooked down. Okay, here we go. Second half. We're gonna turn it back up high. The other half of the mushrooms. I can hear it sizzle, so it's still hot. And we're gonna give it a stir. It takes probably about a couple of minutes per batch, 2 to 3 minutes per batch. Okay, it's ready. Ooh. Let the water, see how the water drips back in? That's really, really good. Now, the next step is you add back the mushrooms that you cooked before, And then we're gonna add all the other ingredients. The thyme, cumin, cinnamon, the coriander, allspice, and the tomato paste. And now all we have to do is add the 5 cups of water. I mean, seriously, how easy is this? Okay, so I'm gonna bring this to a simmer, and then we're gonna let it simmer for about 20 minutes, and I'll be right back. Oh, by the way, I forgot the pepper, so I added it right after we went for break here. But now I just wanna show you, I'm simmering it. It's been about 5 minutes, and I'm using a wooden spoon, and I'm scraping up that brown fond from the bottom, that caramelized, delicious flavor. Okay, it's been 20 minutes, and it's starting to look really beautiful, very dark brown, and now we add our greens. The original recipe calls for 5 ounces of baby spinach. I didn't have 5 ounces in my garden because I keep eating it, but I did have beet greens and Swiss chard, and those are perfectly good to use. Just take out those stems. Okay, now I've put in the spinach, and it is ready to go. But the last thing to do is to get an immersion blender, or you can add some of the soup to a blender and puree it, because what we want to do is puree some of the mushrooms, but not all of them. Make it a little bit thicker than a broth, but not as thick as a very thick soup, because you really do want to have the flavor of those mushrooms. Just to get some of them blended up. Okay, I think that's good. That's good for me. I like it a little chunky. Now look absolutely how gorgeous this is. Don't forget, we have to add the lime juice, and you can taste it as you go. I'm using about a half of lime and a half of lemon. In the plant-based world, when you use citrus to finish things off, it gives it that bright flavor, and that kind of acts like salt. So try it without the salt. Okay, I have a tester in the house. This is Chris.
Hello, everyone.
He is a gourmand and a gourmet. He loves all different types of food, and he's an incredible cook. So I'm wondering if he's gonna want salt, because I don't think he's salt-free.
Weaning off of salt, been doing that.
He's a weaning off, that's great, that's awesome. Here you go, it's all yours. Does it need salt?
No, it's actually good.
You don't think it needs salt?
No.
Can you taste the cinnamon, the cumin, the coriander?
Everything in it. Everything is very distinct and bright, and I love the lemon in there. Like you said, it brings it out.
Well, here's the real test. Would you want me to make this for you again?
You making it tomorrow?
Okay. Thanks, Chris. Try it, you guys. It is so healthy, so delicious. It didn't need the oil, right, Chris? It didn't need the butter.
No, not at all.
And it didn't need the salt. Maybe extra pepper. I like it super spicy. Enjoy this recipe and let me know what you think. Please subscribe and comment below and tell me what you think when you cook it. Thanks. Bye.